Hi, English 111. I wanted to spend just a few minutes talking a little bit about topic choice and your thesis statement for the argument essay. In your textbook, Subject and Strategy, if you look on page, let me look at it, 387, there's a section on determining your thesis or your proposition. So the thesis statement in your argument essay is going to be a sentence where you clearly state what you're going to prove is true or right. So, for example, an argument might be something like, I'm thinking about with language, because remember, yours needs to be connected to language. There might be something like, all elementary school children should be taught a second language. Many of you have already written, hello, Caroline, have already written in your cause and effect essays or comparison and contrast essays about the benefits and some key pieces of learning a second language. So maybe you create an argument essay about that, where you're trying to prove that every kid should learn a second language. Or even to be more specific, every elementary school child should learn a second language and be fluent in it. That would be an even better argument because there's a lot to prove there, right? So the better thesis statements are those that need to be proven, right? They're not thesis statements and they're not topics that everyone's going to agree with. Otherwise, it's not an argument. There's nothing to prove. So if you can think of something that is provable or needs proving, you're going to have a really good thesis and a really good topic for your argument essay. So on page 387 in the textbook, I just want to pull out a couple of key sentences because it can help direct you. In the middle of the first paragraph of that section in Determine Your Thesis, it says the more specific the thesis or the proposition, the more directed your research can become, and the more focused your ultimate argument will be. While researching your topic, however, be aware that the information may point you in a new direction. Don't hesitate at any point to modify or even reject an initial thesis as your continued research warrants. So this essay is also going to use academic research like your cause and effect essay did. And it may be useful to you as you're thinking about topic and thesis now at the beginning of the process to do a little bit of research. Jump into the databases that you have available through my SCC. Use Google. This is a place where Google can be useful in the research process, is to just brainstorm and see what's out there and see what people are saying. So you won't use Google to find the sources that end up in your essay, but it's a really good place at the beginning of the process to just do a little bit of research before you jump into the essay itself or you get too specific. And be willing to shift. If you see that there's a lot of information going this direction on your topic and you initially thought you were going this direction, it's totally fine to switch along the way. There's nothing that says you have to stick with your first idea at all costs, because that's just not true ever. In writing, it rarely ever happens. So keep in mind that your topic / thesis, proposition, your point, whatever it is that you want to call it, should be something that needs to be proven. It needs to be supported. So it's not something that people just automatically agree on. So thinking about that, the reading notes that you're turning in this week are on a chapter out of the book Because Internet, which we've already read from earlier in the semester. And I think it's a really good example of argument because Gretchen McCulloch, the author, makes a point. She says emoji in our texting language serve a very specific role. And that role is body language. They're gestures. And so she explores through the chapter kind of the history of emoji, but then uses that to prove her point. That really the role they play is they're substituting for what we would have face to face as gestures. So smiling, right? Even kind of abstract gestures like the smiley face that has hearts for eyes. We can't physically do that with our bodies, although that might be really cool if we could. But we understand what that gesture, we know what that face would look like if we're looking at someone. The thumbs up emoji, the hands like woohoo emoji, they're gestures. And even the ones that aren't gestures, we turn into gestures, right? If I'm telling you about a vacation I'm going on, I might use an emoji of a plane. I'm not trying to tell you the kind of plane that I'm going on. I'm showing you what I'm doing with my body, what I'm gesturing, where I'm going, how I'm sitting, what I'm thinking. The plane means more than just the plane. So it's a great example of argument. Keep that in mind while you read it and while you're taking notes. And as you're brainstorming for your own thesis and your own topic, kind of follow her example. And if you want to write about emoji, that's great too. Just make a different argument than she does. So I really look forward to seeing what you come up with. If you need help or you need some guidance, please email me. I've let you know that I'm pretty available via email every morning. So yeah, I look forward to working with you and seeing what you come up with.